Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the installment of Scott Selections here for Sunday, January 22nd. For again today's play of the day, quick recap what happened yesterday. We had a nice winner in college basketball with Portland minus 3.5 and minus 115 on BetMGM. Really never in doubt. Portland shot the lights out. We're up double digits at halftime and coasted to a nice 15-point win. So never in doubt. Look for another winner here on Sunday. And for today's play of the day, going to go back to tennis. Look at a matchup between Bautista Agut and Tommy Paul, taking place at around 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time. And for this match, we're going to take the American. We're going to take Tommy Paul on the money line at minus 108 on FanDuel. Time recording of 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Couple reasons why I like Tommy Paul in the spot. First reason, looking at the actual performances so far in this tournament, both guys have looked good. I personally think Tommy Paul has looked better. If you're looking at how he has fared over the last couple of rounds, Paul did have a five-setter against Davidovich Fokina, which he won. Then he had a very easy match in the third round as he beat Brooksby in straight sets. The entire match only took 2 hours and 7 minutes. So Tommy Paul wasn't on the court for that long, and he got to conserve some energy because of it. Meanwhile, Bautista Agut's had a couple of scares in this event. Like Tommy Paul, he had a five-setter 2 rounds ago as he was down 2-0 actually to young American Holt, which is kind of an awful performance by Bautista Agut. Holt, don't get me wrong, could be a good player in the future, but at this point in his career, Bautista Agut should definitely not be falling behind 2 sets to him. Did manage to rally, but then had a nice 4-set marathon win against Andy Murray. And I know Andy Murray is a well-known name, former number one player in the world, had a couple of Grand Slam wins. He's been well past his prime for a while because of injuries. And Andy Murray had a great, I'd say, first 2 rounds. He ended up beating Berrettini, and he beat Kokkinakis in 5 sets each. The problem was, because of those 5-setters, Andy Murray was absolutely gassed in the entire match, I should say. And Murray was really awful in terms of movement for the entire match. He also injured his calf halfway through. The point is, Andy Murray was well below 100%. He looked like he was around 50% for most of the match, which is why Bautista Agut won the first set 6-1. However, after that, Murray actually gave Bautista Agut some problems. He ended up winning a set, won the second set in a breaker, and then the third and fourth sets were competitive. So the fact that Bautista Agut couldn't really take full advantage of an injured Murray, who was fatigued in general because of the 5-hour, 45-minute match he had against Kokkinakis in the round prior, has me concerned about Bautista Agut's actual form, and I think he might be overrated because of it. And since Paul was on the court for roughly 80 minutes less than Bautista Agut based on the previous round, I think Paul should be fresher, and I think that could pay dividends if this match turns into a marathon, which it very well might. But to look at the actual head-to-head meetings, Bautista Agut has done well. However, Tommy Paul did win the most recent meeting in January 2022 as they faced off on hard court, and Tommy Paul won in straight sets. 6-4, 6-4. He really dominated the match. He served better. He returned better. Only reason why the match wasn't more lopsided was the fact that Bautista Agut did fight off 6 out of 9 breakpoint chances for Tommy Paul. So it could have been a lot worse, but Bautista Agut served relatively well in tough situations. And I think that kind of shows that Tommy Paul definitely had the better of Bautista Agut when they faced off about a year ago. And I think that could be the case here as Bautista Agut is 34. He's pretty much past his prime at this point. Still a solid player, don't get me wrong. But I do think with him being past his prime and with him having a couple of long matches back to back, Tommy Paul's only 25. I think that the 9-year differential is going to definitely help out Paul as this match gets longer and longer. And besides that, Bautista Agut also didn't exactly give himself much preparation time or rest time leading up to the Australian Open. You're looking at Tommy Paul, and he ended up losing in Adelaide on January 10th. He did not play again until the start of the Australian Open on the 17th. So he gave himself roughly 7 days off to regroup and to get some energy back. Bautista Agut didn't do that because he made a deep run in Adelaide, the same tournament, and he actually made the final. He ended up losing to Kwan, but he played on the 14th in 3 sets, and then about 3 days later, he played again. So the point is, Bautista Agut's older. He's kind of going back-to-back here with the tournament in Adelaide directly into the Australian Open, and I think with the marathon matches, he might run out of gas here. Tommy Paul stylistically plays a pretty similar style to Bautista Agut to keep the ball in play. Very consistent strokes, very solid overall play. But I do think taking the guy that's 9 years younger off of a much easier match in the previous round and a guy that's more rested because of that and because of the fact that he didn't completely destroy his stamina playing tournaments right before the Australian Open. I think it's actually going to help Tommy Paul here, and I think as a result, Bautista Agut is a bit mispriced. I think Tommy Paul should be closer to minus 125, maybe minus 130, but at minus 108, I'll take it, and I think eventually he'll win this match in 4 or 5 sets. The play that once again here for Sunday, January 22nd, is going to be on Tommy Paul money line at minus 108 on FanDuel. Bye, everyone.